Hello everyone and welcome back to the Amelie Moran podcast. We are back. I am really sorry that I did not post an episode last week. It has been absolutely manic recently. There's been lots and lots going on. So I was going to try and do like a rushed episode, but I just thought let's actually just sit down and go through this together. We are also about to move on to the South America part of my travels, and I felt like that kind of needed its own hype because honestly, that was my favorite part of us traveling and some of my absolute cherished memories, some of the absolute biggest mishaps. Because I think what I didn't maybe stress in the whole Central America part is that we only did a month in Central America. It only took us a month to do the entire thing because we knew it was more expensive than South America. And also it's a lot less land to cover. So we basically gave ourselves kind of like 4 to 5 months to do the entirety of South America, which in my honest opinion, I feel like you need a few months. Like you could try and do everything you want in 3 months, but I feel like 4 to 6 months is the best amount of time to do the whole of South America. It's a lot of land, okay? And I feel like that sounds really obvious, but you will look at the map and think, we have traveled for 12 hours and barely made a dent in this continent. Like I don't actually know how we're going to get to Chile. And I look back at our trip and just think, I don't know how we covered so much land. It's actually terrifying. But it is now officially season 2 of the Amelie Moran podcast. If I'm honest, I don't really know how seasons for podcasts work. I'm really making this up as I go along. But I felt like South America needed her own kind of segment in the podcast. There's a lot to get through. There are a lot of different countries, a lot of different cities, a lot of different places. But it was so special to me, and I just feel like it needs its own moment. We've left Central America now. We've done all of that. Let's strap in for South America. So if you're new here, first of all, welcome. This is the Amelie Moran podcast. We talk all things travel, moving abroad, and a bit of girl chat as well for when we need it. This season, I want to cover the entirety of Colombia all the way down to Chile. I'll be taking you through also my last few months in Australia, which really sounds quite insane when I think about it. I can't believe that I've only got a few months left here. It's so surreal. It feels like it's gone so quickly. And now it's like the last leg. And I'm so excited because also we've done so much working, Sam and I. We've done so much sort of hustling, making sure that we have enough money to actually get home, in all fairness, because we do not have a flight booked to go home. But also to be able to travel to places and do weekend trips and things like that we really want to do whilst we're in Australia. Because let's be honest, it is so far away from the UK that it's not one of those quick weekend getaway kind of destinations. You know what I mean? It's definitely a full like 3-week holiday kind of place. And I don't know when I'll next have the opportunity to do that. So we really want to take advantage where we can. But again, we have not really realized how big Australia is. And I know that sounds really naive again, but even a flight from Melbourne to Perth is about 4 hours. And that just blows my mind. That's like going from the UK to Greece. And I just can't really wrap my head around that. To be flying in a country 4 hours and you're still in the same country is absolutely wild to me. But I'm going to take you through everything, the last few months of Australia, definitely talking about how I'm feeling about going home, how Australia has been as a whole, and everything in between. But before we get into the South America madness, I do want to give you guys a bit of an update of what's been going on, because obviously I missed last week and I did feel really bad. I also didn't really explain myself on any social media. I sort of just disappeared for the week and it was very much needed. I had a lot going on and it's been very busy here. It's also been a lot because, like I say, Australia is coming to an end and suddenly we're realizing we need to think about the things we want to do, how we're going to fit them around work, how we're going to make sure that we have enough money. Booking a flight home might be the first step, but we just want to make sure that we're kind of prepping ourselves, not too much, but we have an idea so that we're not rushing everything at the end. It was Sam's birthday last weekend. Going to Perth is a 4-hour journey. That is a long, long flight. But being able to fit in everything that we wanted to do, I feel like it was the best weekend, best surprise. I was so glad that I pulled it off and was so glad that he had no clue. Sam actually thought that we were going to Fiji for some reason, because before we left to even go traveling, I had always said that my non-negotiable was going to Fiji. That was the thing I wanted to do. I didn't care where else we went in the world, but Fiji was the one place I wanted to go, because my parents lived in Fiji for, I think, a month or 2 months before they moved to Australia about 20 years ago. And they've always raved about how beautiful it is. The beaches are amazing. The way of life there is amazing. The people are amazing. And so it was like a lifelong, well, up to 23 years, 24 years, lifelong dream to go to Fiji and see what my parents saw and understand it a bit more. But the more I've been thinking about it, I've realized that Fiji is an extremely touristy place. I don't think I realized that beforehand. And there's lots of resorts, lots of hotels, and that wasn't really what I saw us doing in Fiji. I wanted to do kind of learning more about the culture of Fiji and the people that live there and what it's like living in Fiji. And I just felt like we weren't going to necessarily get that experience. So I brought up that I don't think I actually want to go to Fiji. It's also extremely expensive, which is another thing I did not realize before considering going. But anyway, I had brought up that I wasn't very keen on going to Fiji, and Sam thought that was quite strange because it was the one thing that I said I really want to do. Then a week later, I'm whisking him off to the airport and he has no idea. So he thought we were going to be going to Fiji as a surprise, and I tried to sort of throw him off the scent, but in actual fact, I was being very honest, don't really want to do Fiji anymore. And I think the surprise was a lot better. Another thing I have to mention is this film Nosferatu. I don't know if anybody has seen it yet. I think it's still quite relatively new in the cinema. I don't know specifically when it came out. But my God, this film has stuck with me. I have so much to say about this film and also nothing at all. Now, for anybody who has no clue what I'm talking about, Nosferatu is a film, and I had to get the synopsis up of this film because I don't think I understood what was going on the entire time, but I also did. Anyway, we'll get into it. But for those who don't know, the entire film is about this real estate agent, Hutter, who travels to Transylvania to finalize a deal with Count Orlok, only to discover he is a vampire who brings death and plague to his town. This forces Hutter's wife, Ellen, to sacrifice herself by luring Orlok into the sunlight to destroy him and save the town from the plague. Can we just, what the fuck? Like, it is such a beautiful film. It is cinematically stunning, and I'm in awe of the people that worked on that film in terms of the cinematography. I think it is absolutely beautiful. If you are somebody that can appreciate cinematography for what it is, whether you care about what's happening in the film or not, this is one of the most gorgeous films, and also very like raw and just some of like the camera angle. I'm like really nerding out because this is really my thing, but like it was absolutely stunning and amazing. But I have to be honest, had no clue what the hell was going on the whole time. I had no preconceptions of Nosferatu. It's quite gruesome, I would say. It's quite a lot. Like if you're not very good with, I'm not very good with gruesome stuff, and I didn't know. And I'm sitting in the cinema going, I feel ill. But there are just some very kind of like raw and just a bit graphic scenes that I was a bit kind of made my stomach like, whoa, okay. So just be wary. I think it's honestly a staple film. I feel like you need to watch just because of how beautiful it is. And in other news, Sam and I discovered this restaurant that is down the road from our flat. And when I say down the road, I mean 2 doors, like literally next door to us. And please don't judge, because I don't know how we've never been before. It's been one of those things where since we moved to Melbourne into our flat, we have said, oh, we should go there one day. We should go there. We should go check it out. And we just never have. But a few weeks ago, we decided to actually go and commit and see what it's about. I think it was also because it's a wine bar and I don't drink anymore. So it kind of felt a bit like, is there any point in going? I would have been very happy to go and just get like a Coke or a lemonade, but I think it just kind of felt a bit like, what is the point? But it was absolutely amazing. It's a wine bar, but they do food and they do like nice small plates. So you have like, you might have a small steak cut up on the small plate. Or I had this amazing thing that was a prawn and it's covered in this sort of brioche bread, garlic butter all over, like really nice, small, expensive dishes that aren't actually that expensive, if that makes any sense to anybody. And so we wanted to go out for Sam's birthday to this restaurant because we absolutely loved it. And I haven't left the house all day. I'm having a shower. I'm blow drying my hair. I don't really blow dry my hair very often. I'm putting on a nice outfit. I want to look cool. Sam is doing the same. We want to look nice. It's his birthday dinner. We are so excited to go to this restaurant we recently discovered next door to us for this birthday meal. We leave our flat and we see it's closed. So we ended up just staying in and ordering pizza and watched a film, to be honest. So it almost felt like Love Island in some way, like dressing up to go downstairs and then by the time you're back upstairs, you're just disappointed. Moving on, Sam had a lovely birthday. We had a lovely pizza and watched an amazing film, and we just sort of had a cozy night in instead, which was quite nice. Another reason I think we also wanted to go out for a meal was because we were celebrating our 1 year since we started traveling and moved away from the UK. It really feels surreal that it's been a year. I can't really wrap my head around it. It does not feel like it at all. I feel like it's quite a big deal. Like, it is quite strange looking back, and we look at photos and think, oh my God, like Mexico was a year ago today, or oh, we went to Guatemala, that was our first land border crossing, and all of this. And I think it's just really nice to have those photos to look back on. It made me laugh as well because I feel like Sam and I look like proper little babies for some reason. I feel like we just look quite scared and quite naive and didn't really know what we were in for. I think I've said this so many times on the podcast, but it really was one of those things where I was going around telling everyone, oh, I'm going to go traveling and it's going to be great and all of this. And then got to the point of having to travel and went, shit, I have no clue about hostel etiquette. I don't even know if my backpack is big or small enough. I don't know if I've even packed my toothbrush. I don't think I can get on this flight. Like, there were so many anxieties around it. But I kind of think that was the best thing because it just pushed us to do everything. I think also looking back over the past year of us going, I feel really, really proud of us and proud of myself because we did what we set out to do. We set out to go travel for 6 months through Latin America and then move to Australia for a year. And I think it feels like a proper accomplishment. I know it's not over yet. And obviously, you know, I'd love for it to never be over in some way, but it does feel like a proper accomplishment. And I feel like the people that we were a year ago before we went, I think they'd be like, what the fuck, at the people that we are now and how we've built our lives here in Australia and worked so hard, made money, found a flat, and just all these things that I guess we just did not know we were in for. So that was a nice little celebration as well that we had. And I think when you put it into perspective of a year, I was thinking it's been a year since I've seen my family. I mean, mum came over in December, but the rest of my family, I've not seen them for a year. My friends, I've not seen them for a year. That is just crazy. And I'm not going to see them anytime soon. So it was just a bit of a perspective sort of day, I think, and just maybe reflective is the right word. But I feel really grateful for the past year and it's been absolutely amazing. And I've loved every second of it, even when there's been mishaps. So we are now on to South America. I am very excited, if you couldn't already tell, because I've said it about 20 times in this episode. First place in South America that we will be talking about next week is Cartagena in Colombia. I am absolutely ecstatic about being able to talk about our time in Colombia because Colombia, I think, was my favorite country that we went to. And I had the best time. And I think I didn't know at the time it was my favorite country. Not that I took it for granted, but I just didn't realize that was like, I look back at photos of Colombia and I am the happiest I've ever been. I also look extremely healthy. I was eating amazing food, amazing experiences. And yeah, I would go back in a heartbeat. I absolutely loved it. It was the most vibrant, colorful, so like community feel, like everybody's so lovely. Everybody was so welcoming. And I really, really treasure my time in Colombia. So I cannot wait to start talking about it. We are going to start in, I guess, what's considered a more touristy part of Colombia. But we were meeting a friend and it kind of was the best base to start with. I think also what's going to be interesting is going back over the trip that we did through Colombia, for example, because we didn't have any plan. After Panama, we had zero plans for what we were doing in South America. There's so much land to cover. And I think we just felt very, very overwhelmed. I remember Sam and I would turn to each other and say, do we go left? Do we go right? Like, where is the best place to go? Where is everybody going? Where is nobody going? What is this safe? Is this not safe? So it's going to be quite fun to go back over the trip because I can't necessarily remember off the top of my head how we decided to go to certain places. But there are definitely places we went to where we just went, why the hell are we here? This is not great. And then there are other places that we didn't mean to go to that we absolutely loved and I would go back to in a heartbeat. So yeah, I'm very, very excited about it. And I really hope that if anybody watching or listening is going to Colombia or thinking of doing South America or just wants to book a holiday somewhere, I hope that I can make you feel a lot better about traveling Colombia and more excited about it because it is considered a very unsafe place to travel. It's considered somewhere that you can't really backpack. And I guess I want to show you that it definitely is. You just obviously need to keep your wits about you, and we'll go through it all in all the episodes, but I can't wait. Then in terms of the last few months of Australia, I really want to show you guys what is going to be going on because there is so much that we want to do and accomplish before we leave and go back to the UK. But I just wanted to touch on something because it has come up multiple times in conversations with people and I find myself getting a bit frustrated whenever it's brought up, but it's just this idea of what people expect you to do because you're in Australia. And I mean that in terms of certain road trips. I mean that in terms of buying certain clothes. I mean that in how you meet friends. I mean that in how you find work or what job you do. I just feel like there are certain expectations when you come and do a work holiday visa that I kind of just wanted to bring up because I wanted to just say fuck them and just don't give a fuck. There are a lot of people that we've had conversations with where we've told them an idea for a road trip or like a weekend trip away or something that we can do. And a lot of people shut us down and say, oh, you're not doing this. Oh, well, everybody does this. And I find that so frustrating because at the end of the day, it's our trip, not yours. And if you want to do that, that's fine, but we don't. And I think it just can make you feel maybe a bit of FOMO, or maybe you can feel a bit insecure about what you're doing or how you're going to do your trip. You're doing it a bit differently to other people. And I just want to reassure people that it is your trip and you can do whatever you want. I've had some moments definitely after having these conversations with people where I think, are we doing the complete wrong thing? Like, are we missing out on something? But Australia is a beautiful country all over. And I think you have to do it the way you want to do it. If you are able to do a month-long trip where you drive around the East Coast or you drive on the West Coast or whatever, you are extremely lucky to be able to do that. And I think you just have to take everything in your stride. If you can only do a few weekends away, that's not a problem. I really don't think that you're missing out on anything. And one thing that is really helping me kind of keep FOMO out of the conversation or make me feel bad about not doing certain things is that Australia is not going anywhere. And you can always come back and do these things. Like if we, for example, Sam and I, if we wanted to do the West Coast and we didn't want to do the East Coast, if we wanted to do the East Coast at some point in our lives, we can fly back and do it. There is no issue. Like, this is what I didn't understand when having these conversations with people is just because we're not doing it now doesn't mean we'll never do it. And I really just wanted to put that message forward to people because it is really, really difficult. I can also imagine if you're doing the move to Australia by yourself or you're traveling Australia by yourself, you will not be missing out on stuff. I absolutely promise. There is something to do everywhere in Australia. I honestly can't think of a place where there is jack shit to do. Everything is beautiful. There's absolutely stunning views, stunning landscapes, and stunning beaches everywhere. And I just think we've got to let go of this idea of expectations. Like, oh, okay, they're doing that trip. Well, should we be doing that? Because everybody seems to do it. No, it's completely fine. You can do whatever you want. And sometimes people struggle with that. I definitely have at some points during our time traveling. So yeah, I just wanted to put forward a bit of advice because I know it can be really overwhelming because at the same time as everywhere in Australia being beautiful, you're thinking, where is the best place to go? Where's the best to start and all this? But I just want you to understand that you can always move. You can always move camp and you can always just set up somewhere else and you can go and visit anything if needed. Like, you can just make it work for you. Anyway, I am extremely excited to get on with this season of the Amelie Moran podcast. I can't wait to tell you about some of the experiences we've had and also have some guests on the podcast talking about various different topics to do with travel, moving abroad, even just having a bit of girl chat, bit of girl advice, because we all need it every now and again. There are going to be lots of stories about mishaps, disappointments, celebrations, and everything in between. So make sure to subscribe and like this episode, and I will see you guys next week. Love you. Bye.